Takopii no Genzai, Takopi's Original Sin, an original net animation, ONA, adaptation of Tizen 5's manga, premiered on June 28, 2025, on streaming platforms like Netflix and Crunchyroll, launching its 6-episode Happy Planet arc produced by Enishi. This psychological drama blends sci-fi and dark coming-of-age themes, following Takopii, a naive alien from Happy Planet, as he attempts to bring joy to a troubled Earth girl. Episode 1, To You in 2016, introduces this gut-wrenching narrative with a deceptively cute facade. I'm shaken by its unflinching portrayal of pain, but I wonder if its relentless intensity risks overwhelming its audience from the outset as the series premiere. Episode 1 has no prior episode to transition from, opening with Takopii, a squid-like Happian, crash-landing on Earth in 2016 to spread happiness. Rescued by Shizuka Q's, a despondent 4th grader, he vows to make her smile using his happy gadgets. Shizuka's life is marred by relentless bullying from classmate Marina, an absent mother, and her sole comfort, her dog Chappie. Takopi's well-meaning but misguided efforts, including a gadget that rewinds time, lead to a tragic escalation when Marina provokes Chappie's seizure, and Shizuka, overwhelmed, uses the gadget to take her own life. The episode ends with Takopii rewinding time to undo the tragedy, leaving Shizuka's fate uncertain. Episode 1 establishes the Happy Planet arc by introducing Takopi's mission and Shizuka's despair, culminating in a shocking tragedy that sets the stakes. The revelation of Shizuka's suicide, driven by bullying and neglect, is a devastating turning point, exposing the gap between Takopi's naive optimism and Earth's harsh realities. I think the episode effectively lays the groundwork, faithfully adapting early manga chapters while raising questions about Takopi's gadgets and Marina's motivations. It resolves no major conflicts, focusing on setup, which suits a premiere but leaves the narrative raw. The pacing is deliberate yet intense, clocking in at 37 minutes, but I'm against its relentless escalation, as the rapid shift to tragedy feels almost too abrupt, risking emotional overload. Still, it grips with its unresolved tension. Takopii, voiced by Natsumi Fujiwara, Shizuka, voiced by Konomi Kohara, and Marina, voiced by Anna Nagase, are central, with Chappie and Shizuka's mother as secondary figures. Takopi's childlike enthusiasm, seen in his gleeful gadget demonstrations, contrasts with his obliviousness to Shizuka's pain, revealing his well-intentioned but flawed nature. Shizuka's quiet despair, evident in her hunched posture and faint "it's fine," exposes her deep isolation, consistent with her manga counterpart. Marina's cruelty, like dumping juice on Shizuka's desk, hints at her own troubles, though her motivations remain vague. I appreciate Shizuka's heartbreaking authenticity, but I don't think Marina's bullying feels fully dimensional yet, leaning on archetype. I anticipate growth in Takopi's understanding and Shizuka's resilience as the arc unfolds. The episode explores despair, innocence, and the limits of good intentions. Shizuka's suffering, amplified by bullying and parental neglect, reflects the crushing weight of isolation, akin to a silent voice's raw emotional core. Takopi's futile attempts to fix her pain with gadgets underscore the naivety of simplistic solutions to complex trauma. I'm moved by Shizuka's fleeting joy with Chappie, contrasted by her tragic choice, but I think the episode's intensity overshadows subtler themes, like Marina's own pain, which are only hinted at. I'm against this heavy-handed approach, as it risks drowning the narrative in despair, though it powerfully sets up a meditation on healing and accountability. The episode introduces Happy Planet's utopian culture, where Takopi's species thrives on spreading joy, contrasting with Earth's gritty 2016 Tokyo, marked by urban decay and social neglect. The happy gadgets, like the time-rewinding device, establish a sci-fi framework with loose rules, while Shizuka's school and absent mother ground the story in a stark, relatable reality. I really appreciate the juxtaposition of Takopi's colorful optimism with Earth's bleakness, but I'm frustrated by the vague mechanics of the gadgets and Happy Planet's lore, which feel underdeveloped. I anticipate further details on Takopi's origins and the gadget's limits to enrich this contrasting world. The dialogue is raw and impactful but occasionally heavy-handed. Shizuka's soft, "I don't care anymore" cuts deep, capturing her resignation, while Takopi's chirpy, "let's be happy," feels jarringly naive. Marina's taunts, like, "you're such a loser," are effective but cliched for a bully. I think the writing excels in conveying Shizuka's pain, particularly through her sparse words, but I don't think it balances Takopi's optimism with the tragedy's weight, as his dialogue feels overly simplistic. I'm against the abrupt escalation to suicide, which, while shocking, lacks build-up to maximize impact. The script's emotional rawness, faithful to the manga, is its strength, though it needs refinement to avoid melodrama. Enishiya's animation is fluid and evocative, particularly in the bullying scenes, where Shizuka's trembling hands and bruised face are rendered with gut-wrenching detail. Keita Nagahara's character designs, true to Taisen 5's manga, give Takopii a deceptively cute, chibi-octopus look and Shizuka a fragile expressiveness, though Marina's design feels generic. The contrast between Happy Planet's pastel vibrancy and Tokyo's muted grays is striking, but I notice minor inconsistencies in background crowds, where movements feel stiff. I really appreciate the emotional clarity in Shizuka's expressions, but I think polishing secondary animations could match the main cast's fluidity. The quality is strong for a summer 2025 ONA, evoking Oyasumi Punpun's surreal edge. Shinya Aino's direction uses low-angle shots of Marina's sneers to amplify her menace, while close-ups on Shizuka's tear-streaked face deepen her despair. The editing shifts sharply from Takopi's playful antics to the bullying's brutality, though I don't think the transitions always cohere, risking tonal whiplash. The muted palette, punctuated by Takopi's pink glow, enhances the bleak mood, but I'm against the overuse of slow zooms on Shizuka's face, which feel repetitive. I appreciate how the direction mirrors her isolation, strengthening the storytelling's emotional weight, akin to Erased's intimate lens. Episode 1 evokes profound sadness, shock, and unease. Shizuka's bullying, culminating in her bruised, defeated form, is heart-wrenching, while the suicide scene, marked by chilling sound design, is a gut punch, as devastating as a silent voice's darkest moments. Takopi's futile optimism adds a layer of tragic irony. I'm shaken by Shizuka's pain, but I'm frustrated by the episode's unrelenting bleakness, which risks numbing viewers. The cliffhanger, with Takopi's rewind, leaves a lingering dread, prompting reflection on childhood trauma and the limits of kindness. Will you feel the same ache as Shizuka's world crumbles? The episode's core lesson is about the fragility of innocence against human suffering. Takopi's naive mission to spread happiness highlights how good intentions can falter in the face of deep trauma, a universal truth about the complexity of healing broken lives. Takopii no Genzai Episode 1 is a harrowing, emotionally charged premiere, excelling in its raw portrayal of trauma, Kohara's stellar performance, and faithful adaptation of Taisen 5's manga. Strengths include the vivid emotional animation, haunting sound design, and gripping setup. However, the rushed tragic escalation, cliched bully archetype, and relentless intensity are weaknesses, risking emotional overload. I think the episode achieves its goal of shocking and engaging viewers, but I'm against its lack of breathing room, which could temper its impact. Overall, it's a bold start, and I anticipate the 6-episode arc, concluding in August 2025, will balance its darkness with growth, potentially defining summer 2025's psychological drama lineup. Takopii no Genzai, Takopi's Original Sin, and original net animation ONA, adapting Taisen 5's manga, continues its 6-episode Happy Planet arc, streaming on Netflix and Crunchyroll after its June 28, 2025 premiere. Produced by Enishiya, this psychological drama melds sci-fi and dark coming-of-age themes, following Takopii, a naive alien, as he tries to heal the emotional wounds of Shizuka Q's, a bullied schoolgirl. Episode 2, Rewind and Repeat, delves deeper into Shizuka's trauma and Takopi's desperate attempts to alter her fate. I'm gripped by its unflinching emotional intensity, but I question whether its cyclical despair risks numbing its audience. Following Episode 1's devastating climax, where Shizuka took her life and Takopii used his time-rewinding gadget to undo it, Episode 2 sees Takopii struggling to prevent the same tragedy. He resets the day, attempting to shield Shizuka from her bully, Marina, and protect her dog, Chappie, from harm. Shizuka's despair persists, compounded by her mother's neglect and a new revelation about Marina's home life. Takopi's interventions falter, leading to another catastrophic outcome, forcing another rewind. The episode ends with Takopii realizing the complexity of Shizuka's pain as a mysterious figure watches from the shadows, hinting at deeper forces at play. Episode 2 advances the Happy Planet arc by exploring the consequences of Takopi's time manipulation, deepening the stakes of Shizuka's suffering. The revelation of Marina's abusive home life, glimpsed when Shizuka sees her bruised arm, is a pivotal turning point, reframing her bullying as a projection of personal pain. I think the episode effectively builds on the premiere's tragedy, adapting later manga chapters to emphasize the cyclical nature of despair, while raising questions about the time gadget's limits and the shadowy figure's role. It resolves no major conflicts, focusing on escalating tension, which suits the arc's early stage. The pacing is measured, lingering on emotional beats, but I'm against its repetitive structure, as the second tragic outcome feels redundant, risking viewer fatigue. Still, it captivates with its unresolved mysteries. Takopii voiced by Natsumi Fujiwara, Shizuka voiced by Kanomi Kohara, and Marina voiced by Anna Nagase remain central, with Shizuka's mother and Chappie as secondary figures. Takopi's growing frustration, seen in his trembling tentacles as he fails to cheer Shizuka, reveals a shift from naive optimism to dawning awareness of human complexity consistent with his alien innocence. Shizuka's quiet quiet resignation, like her whispered "nothing changes," deepens her portrayal as a broken child, while Marina's revealed vulnerability adds nuance, though her cruelty remains dominant. I appreciate Marina's layered introduction, but I don't think Shizuka's arc progresses significantly as her despair feels static. I anticipate Takopi's growth in understanding and Marina's development as a complex antagonist. The episode explores cycles of pain, empathy, and the limits of external salvation. Shizuka's repeated suffering, despite Takopi's rewinds, mirrors the inescapable nature of trauma akin to Wonder Egg Priority's raw emotional weight. Marina's abuse reveals how pain begets pain, while Takopi's futile interventions highlight the challenge of healing deep wounds. I'm moved by Shizuka's fleeting smile when petting Chappie, contrasted by her despair, but I think the repetitive tragedies overshadow subtler themes, like empathy's potential to break cycles. I'm against this relentless focus on despair, as it risks diluting the narrative's hope, though the groundwork for exploring redemption through understanding is compelling. The episode expands the sci-fi framework with deeper insight into Takopi's happy gadgets, particularly the time-rewinding device, which shows physical strain on him, suggesting limits to its power. The 2016 Tokyo setting remains gritty, with Shizuka's rundown apartment and school reinforcing a bleak social reality. The shadowy figure's presence hints at a larger cosmic or supernatural element possibly tied to Happy Planet. I really appreciate the contrast between Takopi's utopian origins and Earth's harshness, but I'm frustrated by the vague details on the gadget's mechanics and the figure's identity, which feel like narrative teases. I anticipate further exploration of Happy Planet's rules and the figure's role to enrich this world. The dialogue is poignant but occasionally repetitive. Shizuka's soft "I'm tired of trying" is gut-wrenching, capturing her exhaustion, while Takopi's insistent "I'll make you happy" grows strained, reflecting his desperation. Marina's taunts remain cliched, though her quiet "you don't get it" hints at depth. I think the writing excels in conveying raw emotion, particularly Shizuka's despair, but I don't think it avoids redundancy, as Takopi's repeated promises feel overused. I'm against the heavy reliance on tragic repetition, which risks melodrama, though the script's fidelity to the manga's tone and its emotional clarity keep it engaging. The writing is strong but needs variety to sustain impact. Enishiya's animation remains fluid, with Shizuka's tearful expressions and Takopi's frantic movements rendered with heartbreaking detail. Keita Nagahara's character designs, faithful to Taisen 5's manga, maintain Takopi's deceptively cute aesthetic and Shizuka's fragile look, though Marina's generic bully design lacks distinctiveness. The episode's muted grays, contrasted by Takopi's pink glow, create a stark emotional palette, with the rewind effects swirling visuals a standout. I notice minor inconsistencies in background environments, like static classroom scenes, that dull immersion. I really appreciate the expressive character animation, but I think refining secondary visuals could elevate the quality. The art is evocative, matching summer 2025's high standards. Shinya Aino's direction uses tight close-ups on Shizuka's hollow eyes to amplify her despair, while wide shots of Tokyo's decay underscore isolation. The editing is deliberate, lingering on emotional beats, though I don't think the repeated rewind sequences flow seamlessly, risking monotony. The muted color scheme, punctuated by the rewind's vibrant distortion, enhances the bleak mood, but I'm against the overuse of slow pans across Shizuka's face, which feel redundant. I appreciate how the direction mirrors her emotional stagnation, strengthening the storytelling's intensity, reminiscent of Made in Abyss's haunting lens. Emotional impact and reflections. Episode 2 evokes profound sadness, frustration, and faint hope. Shizuka's repeated despair, marked by her slumped silhouette against a gray sky, is devastating, while Marina's revealed pain adds a layer of tragic complexity, as poignant as a silent voice's nuanced bullying narrative. Takopi's futile efforts stir frustration, tempered by his small successes, like Shizuka's brief smile. I'm shaken by the episode's emotional weight, but I'm frustrated by its repetitive tragedy, which risks desensitizing viewers. The cliffhanger, with the shadowy figure, leaves a lingering unease, prompting reflection on cycles of pain and empathy. Will you feel the same ache as Takopii tries to rewrite Shizuka's fate? The episode's core lesson is about the complexity of breaking cycles of suffering. Takopi's repeated failures suggest that trauma cannot be undone with simple fixes, emphasizing the need for empathy and understanding to heal deep wounds, a universal truth about human resilience. Takopii no Genzai Episode 2 is a harrowing, emotionally intense continuation, excelling in its raw portrayal of trauma, Kohara's stellar performance, and faithful adaptation of the manga's tone. Strengths include the vivid emotional animation, nuanced Marina reveal, and gripping thematic setup. However, the repetitive tragic structure, cliched bully dialogue, and relentless despair are weaknesses, risking viewer fatigue. I think the episode achieves its goal of deepening Shizuka's story, but I'm against its lack of emotional variety which could balance for broader impact. Overall, it's a compelling follow-up, and I anticipate the 6-episode arc concluding in August 2025 will refine its balance of despair and hope, potentially defining summer 2025's psychological drama landscape.